Let's start with the Brian Entin report on this neighbor who he tracked down, Brian of both News Nation, and he's got his own independent feed on YouTube, which is great and well worth following. Talking to one of Nancy's neighbors about something that happened to her with the FBI, question mark, in the early days of the investigation. I think it is 50, it's 50 or 51.
They went to my sister's house on the second Friday night after Nancy went missing at like 7:30 at night. It was raining with hoodies on, black hoodies, and we're tapping on her windows and frantically ringing her doorbell, and she answered it. So they went in. I think the male did not take his hoodie off. The female did. They wanted to know if she had a pacemaker, and they wanted to look into her garage. And so she was like, oh, okay. I mean, she was alone and was like, sure, of course, you're the FBI. They were in her house for like 20 minutes. She was asking questions and they were kind of vague, and the guy didn't really speak, and he kind of creeped her out. My niece called and said, are you sure they were the FBI? So she called the 1-800-FBI number, and it was busy. She called 911, and within 15 minutes, 10 minutes, there were 7 police cars, 4 FBI agents, said it wasn't the FBI. She was terrified. They swabbed her, fingerprinted the entire house, were there till the middle of the night. The next day at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she got a call from the large group of FBI agents that were there and said, oh yeah, by the way, that woman was an FBI agent. We don't really know who the guy was, but she was, so you're fine. And she was like, no, I'm not fine. I think the FBI and the sheriff's department were not communicating. So eventually she figured out it was an FBI agent, but the sheriff's department didn't think it was in the beginning.
OMG. So just to be clear, that was a neighbor of Nancy's talking about her sister, who is another neighbor of Nancy's, and the sister's experience with, again, the FBI, question mark. Unclear, Fitz, but what does it say to you?
It says to me, not just left hand, right hand, left foot, right foot with multiple people at the same time, not necessarily knowing what they're doing or with whom they're doing it. This is clearly a violation of investigative protocols that people don't know where each other are. And of course, I'm not, they're wearing hoodies. I'm assuming they pulled out some kind of identification. FBI identification is pretty distinctive, a small gold badge, and of course, a picture and ID next to it. So, and I'm not even sure the exact line of questioning that took place there, but again, they're flying some people in from around the country. Some people just showed up to that day and decided to take on some leads of their own and just said, well, let's go out and knock on some of these doors and talk to these people. We're not going to worry about getting all dressed up. We'll just wear the gear we did when we traveled here. I don't know. I can't explain this, but this sounds like it was someone went out sort of on their own on left field. And then it took, a bunch of talk afterwards and meetings to decide, oh yeah, all right, it was Jane and this other guy who we don't know to this day. It's weird. It's odd. I'm not sure what it contributes to the investigation. If anything, it detracts from the investigation in terms of how this part of it was handled.
The neighbor, this woman's sister, reported that the only identification they were wearing was the woman had on a black hoodie with a tiny FBI emblem on it. Oh my God.
Which you can buy
right?
in
like,
DC on the street corner.
That's horrifying. Like literally, I think my 12-year-old has a sweatshirt just like that. He should not be allowed in anyone's house to ask questions. And it's scary, Will. I mean, it actually makes me wonder if law enforcement ever shows up at your house, and in this woman's defense, it happened in the middle of a massive investigation that was all over the television. She knew FBI was everywhere. What should you do to make sure this is a legit person I should talk to?
Well, I mean, I kind of agree with Fitz's assessment, but maybe I'm a wee bit more suspicious, Megyn. Certainly, I think any evidence of a warrant card, asking to see some ID would be absolutely essential in the first instance to verify. But whether you have the wherewithal at that time to actually think of asking for it rather than it just being proffered voluntarily. I think the fact that she called the FBI sort of hotline, albeit it was engaged and she couldn't get through, which isn't very good. Again, it just gives strands of Keystone Cops of the Sheriff's Department behavior, and certainly one hand not speaking to the other. I might be a little bit more cynical and suspicious than Fitz that if this was an individual claiming to be FBI, maybe they weren't FBI. Maybe the FBI are now using this as a new possible lead, but don't want it to be shown out. I don't know. I mean, again, I'll leave it for the Bureau guys to maybe make their assessment on that.
Yeah, I agree with you because, James, the fact that they sent over, as soon as she called, this full team and they cheek swabbed her shows they were taking this very seriously. And then just sort of the afterthought, oh, by the way, the next day, that person who came over was FBI, so just don't worry about it. And, you know, as you heard the sister say, no, she did think there was a problem here. Like, she'd given an interview, then the whole SWAT team basically came in, took her DNA, cheek swabbed the whole bit, and then just sort of the casual, oh, never mind, that was a nothing. Like, what does it tell you?
Well, you see it a lot, and Fitz was right. Will, of course, is correct with regards to the right hand not knowing what the left hand's doing. But again, and I might be a dinosaur here, but this dress and the hoodie, it's not surprising to me because the Bureau, at least the pictures I'm seeing now and what I see on the media, they don't dress like FBI agents when I was there. And it's certainly a citizen should ask for an ID, call 911, ask to speak to a supervisor, and verify they are who they say they are, because a hoodie with a little FBI emblem, like you said, Megyn, your daughter's got it. It's not hard to impersonate. And, frankly, you should dress like as a professional. And if you're going to wear a hoodie and look like that, then fully expect to be vetted.
Yes. I mean, I'm looking at this thinking, what's next? She showed up with a Starbucks cup that said FBI on it. Like, we definitely need better credentials than a sweatshirt. A badge would be one thing. Fitz, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and we've talked about this over the last few weeks, and James has probably been a part of a number of task forces like I have, and you're just sometimes being flown into a location. I can give you multiple locations in my career. I'm sure James can too. And you just land on the ground and you're not even sure who your supervisor is first. You report to a command post. There's police officers, there's other federal agencies there. You may report to a supervisor. I was a supervisor. People would be reporting to me, but I wouldn't be sending them out on these types of leads without having some sort of direction or coordination with others who have done this. So I'm not saying it's a mess there or out of control, but I have no question, especially in the early few weeks or the first few weeks, people flying in and out and not even under the direction of the Phoenix special agent in charge, but some other supervisor who just flew in. Hey, why don't you guys go out and cover these leads right here? So I want to emphasize that this was seemingly unprofessional and it didn't follow protocols. It doesn't mean illegal, and it doesn't mean that bad things are being attempted here, but it certainly raises more questions than it does answers. And this kind of investigation doesn't need that kind of incident to happen. And there may be other ones we don't even know about.
Yep.
I'm with Will in that. My question is whether that couple was FBI at all, and whether the FBI was being honest when it said to her the next day, "Oh, don't worry, they were FBI." Like, I got questions, same as Will. Here's a little bit more from the neighbor, describing a weird man in the neighborhood around January 11th. Again, this is from Brian Entin on Monday.
About 2 weeks before, I have a picture window in my bathroom, and I see all the people walking by in the mornings, and I noticed this strange guy with his hat down really low. He was kind of hunched over, not in, walking or hiking gear.
And it stood out to you?
Oh, yeah.
And how often has something like that happened where it stood out to you enough to say something?
Not often at all. I see the same people. I think once, maybe 12 years ago, I saw a strange guy.
Did you tell the police?
I did. I told the FBI the day after they came here. So you've got a pretty good view.
Oh, yeah. So Nancy's is up that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you've got a pretty good view, and he was walking down the road, and he was in kind of street clothes, not shoes that you'd walk in, and he had a baseball hat really low, and he was kind of hunched over, and he was kind of looking around, and he just didn't fit. And he wasn't going terribly quickly like a normal person that's getting exercise. He was kind of going slowly, and when he walked by this street, he really took a long look at it. I noticed that.
I see that, James, and I think never underestimate the power of a curious female neighbor, because
Yeah, but
I do think like we've got our neighborhoods wired. So I actually am paying a lot of attention to what that woman said, and not for nothing, but it does connect to an NBC report that on January 11th, okay, this is like the same, she says this is when she saw this man who didn't fit. They report that two homeowners said when the investigators came to their home, that just this past Thursday, they additionally asked about any video footage from January 11th. So it sounds like investigators are taking that date that she referenced, seeing this guy who didn't fit, very seriously.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you see this, she's talking herself into it. Her intuition's pinging. She's clearly, curiosity and suspicion are messengers of intuition, and she's trying to talk herself into having these feelings. She doesn't need to do that. And unfortunately, at least from the reporting I just heard, she only said something to law enforcement once the FBI has come after the Guthrie missing. Why didn't she call 911 that day? In January. That's when people need to, if they see it, they need to call. That's this whole see something, say something thing from DHS. Well, that's what they're talking about. And you need to get on the phone. And you can tell in the interview, she's trying to talk herself into it. She doesn't need to. That was more than enough suspicion to call into the police. But unfortunately, it was after the fact when she finally told somebody.
Think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. At today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth about $165,000. That's why many smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals. And it's why you should consider buying gold from Birch Gold Group. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth, and today it's a crucial part of any balanced strategy. Even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. Just text MK to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. Now that's peace of mind. Again, text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.